put what Johnny Damon of the New York Yankees did on Sunday night in historical context among the 9 smartest plays in World Series history. My thanks to the gracious people at MLB Network and MLB Productions, who are just putting out a remarkable set of 20 DVDs, 50 hours of all the annual official World Series films since 1943. Most of the video here is from that collection, which you can order off the MLB.com website, and you should. So remembering that a baseball cap can also be a thinking cap, here are, in ascending order, the 9 smartest plays in World Series history. 9th on our list, Jackie Robinson's iconic steal of home in the 8th inning of the first game of the 1955 World Series. This was a statement play in a time when a statement was a new idea. After all but taunting pitcher Whitey Ford and catcher Yogi Berra of the Yankees, Jackie Robinson seized the day.
Robinson dashes for the plate. It's close, and umpire Summers calls him safe.
The Dodgers would lose the game, but for the first time ever, win the series. The 8th play on the list is another moment of base-running exuberance. In a regular season game in 1946, Enos Country Slaughter, on first base, had been given the run and hit sign by his St. Louis Cardinals manager, Eddie Dyer. Slaughter took off, the batter swung and laced one into the outfield. As Slaughter approached third base with home in his sights, he was held up by his third base coach, Mike Gonzalez. Slaughter complained to his manager. Dyer said, "Fine, if it happens again and you think you can make it, run on your own, I'll back you up." It happened again, and in the bottom of the 8th inning of the tied-up 7th game of the 1946 series, manager Dyer again flashed the run and hit sign. Slaughter again broke from first, and hitter Harry the Hat Walker lined Bob Klinger's pitch over shortstop for what looked to everybody like a long single. Everybody but Slaughter. He never slowed down. When Boston shortstop Johnny Pesky turned clockwise to take the relay throw from center fielder Leon Culberson instead of counterclockwise, and thus oddly twisted, could get little on his throw to the plate, Slaughter scored. The Cards led, and an inning later were world champs. The Red Sox should have seen it coming. Slaughter ran everywhere on the field. He said he'd learned to do so in the minors when, as a 20-year-old, he had walked back from the outfield, only to hear his manager say, "Hey kid, if you're tired, I'll get you some help." That manager was Eddie Dyer, the same man who a decade later would encourage Slaughter to run any and all red lights. The particulars of the 7th smartest play in series history are lost in the shrouds of time. It was Game 2 of the 1907 Fall Classic between Ty Cobb's Tigers and the Cubs. In the first inning, Chicago leadoff man Jimmy Slagle walked, then broke for second. Catcher Fred Payne's throw was wild. Slagle made it to third. Detroit third baseman Bill Coughlin knew the Tigers were in trouble. There are 2 ways to do what Coughlin did next. We don't know which he used. Later, third basemen like Matt Williams were known to ask runners to just step off the base for a moment so he could clean the dirt off of it. Others, through nonchalance or downright misdirection, would convince the runner that they no longer had the ball. Which Coughlin did, we don't know. The Spalding Baseball Guide for 1908 simply described it as Coughlin working that ancient and decrepit trick of the hidden ball got Rabbit Slagle as he stepped off the third sack. What the sleep of Slagle cost was shown in the next minute when Chance singled over second. Bill Coughlin snagged Slagle with what is believed to be the only hidden ball trick in the history of the series. 6th among the smartest plays is another we will not likely see again. The New York Mets led the Baltimore Orioles 3-1 as they played the 5th game of the 1969 World Series. But the favored Birds led that game 3-0 going into the bottom of the 6th.
Cleon Jones is the leadoff batter.
Then Dave McNally bounced a breaking pitch at the feet of Cleon Jones of the Mets. Jones claimed he'd been hit by it, but umpire Lou DeMuro disagreed. Disagreed until Mets skipper Gil Hodges came out of the dugout to show DeMuro the baseball and the smudge of shoe polish from where it had supposedly hit Jones on the foot. DeMuro changed his mind. Jones was awarded first, and the Mets produced 5 unanswered runs to win the game and the series. But there were questions, most of them voiced in Baltimore, about the provenance of that baseball. Was it really the one McNally had just thrown? A nearly identical play in 1957 with Milwaukee's Nippy Jones had helped to decide that series. And years later, an unnamed Met said that ever since it had always been considered good planning to have a baseball in your dugout with shoe polish on it, just in case. Today, of course, players' shoes don't get shined. Hall of Fame pitcher, Hall of Fame batter, Hall of Fame manager, all involved in the fifth smartest play, but only two of them were smart during it. Reds 1, A's nothing, 1 out, top of the 8th, runners on second and third game of the 72 series, and Oakland reliever Raleigh Fingers struggles to a 3-2 count on Cincinnati's legendary Johnny Bench. With great theatrics and evident reluctance, the A's battery and manager Dick Williams agree to go ahead and throw the next pitch deliberately wide for an intentional walk, which is when Oakland catcher Gene Tennis jumped back behind the plate to catch the third strike that slid right past a forever embarrassed Johnny Bench.
An Academy Award performance strikes out Bench.
And as if to rub it in, the A's then walked Tony Perez intentionally, for real. Another all-time great was central to the fourth smartest play in series history. You tend to think brawn, not brain, with Mickey Mantle. But in the 7th game of the epic 1960 series, he was, for a moment, the smartest man in America. Mantle had just singled home a run that cut Pittsburgh's lead over the Yankees to 9-8. With 1 out and Gil McDougald as the tying run at third, Yogi Berra grounded to Pirate first baseman Rocky Nelson, who quickly stepped on the bag to retire Berra for the 2nd out. Mantle, now in no man's land, about to be tagged out himself for the final out of the game and the series, faked his way around Nelson, back safely to first base, and took enough time doing so that McDougald could score the tying run. Mantle's quick thinking and base-running alacrity would have been one of the game's all-time greatest plays, if only minutes later,
and there she goes.
the 9-9 tie he had created had not been erased by Bill Azarowski's unforgettable series-winning home run to lead off the bottom of the 9th. Like the Mantle example, the gut and not the cerebellum is usually associated with the 3rd smartest play in series history.
And look who's coming up.
It's Kirk Gibson's epic homer to win the opening game of the 1988 Classic. Gibson, aching, knees swollen, limping, somehow creeps to the batter's box and then takes a 3-2 pitch from another Hall of Fame Oakland reliever, Dennis Eckersley, and turns it into the most improbable of game-winning homers.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
But the backstory is even better. When the count reached 3-2, Gibson says he stepped out of the batter's box and could hear the briefing on Eckersley given by the Dodgers scout Mel Didier in his distinctive Mississippi accent before the series began. On a 3-2 count against the left-handed power hitter, you can be absolutely certain that Eckersley will throw a backdoor slider. He always does it. And as Gibson once joked, I was a left-hand power hitter. So Gibson's home run was not just mind over matter, it was also mind, and it was also Mel Didier. The 2nd smartest play in series history came in the 7th game of the Braves and Twins' remorseless battle of 1991. Scoreless into the 8th inning. Veteran Lonnie Smith went off the top of the frame with a single. Just like Enos Slaughter in 1946, he then got the signal to run with the pitch. Just like Harry Walker in 1946, his teammate Terry Pendleton connected safely. But something was amiss at second base. Minnesota shortstop Greg Gagne and second baseman Chuck Knobloch were either starting a double play or they had decided they were the Harlem Globetrotters playing pantomime ball. Smith, at least momentarily startled, hesitated just long enough, but he could not score from first, as Enos Slaughter had. He would later claim the Twins infielders had not fooled him at all with their phantom double play, and he was just waiting to make sure the ball was not caught. But he never scored a run, nor did his Braves. The game and the series ended 1-0 Minnesota in the 10th inning on a pinch hit single by Gene Larkin from, appropriately enough for this subject, Columbia University. All-stars and cup of coffee guys, fielders and hitters and base runners and pitchers and even a scout. And stretching over a span of 102 years of series history. And yet the smartest play is from this past Sunday. Johnny Damon not only worked his way back from down 0-2 to a line single on the 9th pitch of the at-bat against Brad Lidge, but he quickly gauged the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with which the Phillies had seemingly presented him. Few teams employ a defensive shift towards the left side or the right when there is a runner on base. That's largely because if there is a play to be made at second or third, the fielders who would normally handle the ball are elsewhere. With Mark Teixeira up, the Phillies had nonetheless shifted their infield right. So Damon realized if he tried to steal, the throw and the tag would probably be the responsibility of third baseman Pedro Feliz. Even if Feliz didn't botch the job, his meager experience in the middle infield slightly increased the odds in Damon's favor. But the real question was, what would happen immediately afterwards if Damon stole successfully? Where would Feliz go, and who would cover third base?
Damon, no chance for Ruiz, and now headed to third base as he got around Feliz.
Damon chose a pop-up slide so he could keep on running. Feliz took the throw cleanly but did not stop his own momentum and continued to run slightly towards the center of the diamond, and nobody covered third base. All Damon needed was daylight between himself and Feliz would have no chance of outrunning him to third and nobody to throw to at third. And all of that went through Johnny Damon's mind in a matter of seconds. Thereafter, in a matter of minutes, the New York Yankees had turned a tie game with them down to their last strike of the ninth inning into a 3-run rally that put them within one win of the World's Championship. All thanks to the smartest play in the history of the World Series.
That's countdown for this, the 2,378th day since the previous president declared mission accomplished in Iraq.